The Steam Deck, you can also install something like Windows if you really wanted to hate yourself. They do make it possible.
Oh, that phrase couldn't be any closer to the truth unless it was spoken by God itself. Yeah. If you want to hate yourself, install Windows 11 on Steam. But let's talk about that. First off, the biggest question is that you're probably going to click off this video because of is should you install Windows on a Steam Deck?
Windows if you really wanted to hate yourself.
I think that pretty much answers it. I think that covers it. I could not get footage for this experience to save my life. But in that entire situation, I also couldn't do anything that, you would want to do if you were to install Windows on a Steam Deck. So, for example, say you decide that you want to do something like my case, play Fortnite. Well, there's no point to trying to play Fortnite because Fortnite does not function properly at all in a Steam Deck on Windows 11. The hardware is just not really there. And my hardware is fine tuned down to the perfect TDPs, like the best that I could get. I went through and stress tested my system and found what TDPs to actually adjust in the BIOS to make everything work like at its optimal. With my optimal settings, my Steam Deck, the battery life was horrendous. We're talking, I can normally get like 3 hours worth of gameplay out of my Steam Deck. We're talking like an hour and 20 minutes. It was bad. It was half the damn battery life. It was hotter than all hell the entire time. I don't even know how to check thermals with this because there was just no point to even caring. I couldn't get anywhere with it. Steam games ran okay. I mean, you could at least use the Steam controller. Doing something like Fortnite, I had to plug in a keyboard and mouse to it to get it to actually even play. And if you look left, you're looking left very quickly, very quickly, because one slight little jerk to the left, it lags out, and then you're staring another direction, probably further than where you wanted to go. It was just an abysmal experience. Uh, Installation. Let's talk about installation. I had to recreate the media 3 times just to get the damn thing to install. It just kept failing out. Eventually, I realized that it wasn't even the media that was the problem. It was the fact that I had an SD card plugged into my SD card slot.
You really wanted to hate yourself.
Windows just freaked out about it like every single time. And then finally, with the same OS install, I booted into Windows so I could use the Windows Media Creation tool to try and accomplish this task. And it still didn't want to work. I unplugged the SD card, magically everything works. I go off to do the installation process again just to test it with the SD card plugged in. Immediately failed. As soon as I unplugged that baby, no problems. Was able to install Windows 11.
Windows if you really wanted to hate yourself.
Which, by the way, is heavy as all hell. I've got a terabyte Steam Deck. It takes up like 200 something gigs with like all the Windows updates and whatnot, which is just ridiculous. It's massive. I'm being hyperbolic with 200 something gigs. It's massive though. It's at least half of a Call of Duty install. So there's that, and just the performance on it is garbage. Valve built this hardware, had this hardware put together specifically for the use case that they needed to be the most efficient and affordable piece of equipment possible. And they did a fantastic job. Like everything is perfectly optimized. Most of the drivers don't even exist. Like you go onto the driver onto how to install Windows on a Steam Deck website for Steam, and Valve they give you the drivers. They don't give you much support outside of that because realistically, you're not supposed to do this anyways. Because you would only install this if you
really wanted to hate yourself.
So there's that. It's just It's bad. I thought that it would be at least a little bit of a fun video to try and do. I'm not a fan of Windows just because of the things that Microsoft has chosen to do with Copilot. If it wasn't for the Copilot situation, I would still probably be sitting there happily enjoying my Microsoft Windows. I would have learned to have loved or at least tolerated Windows 11. But Copilot was where I drew the line because I can't trust that they're gonna not spy on me. You know what I mean? And okay. Let's cover this real quick. If you still want to use Windows, I don't judge you for that. Go ahead, use what you're comfortable with. It's the same concept as like I used to work in the cell phone industry for a decade and a half. And I would, have people come in that, grandma needed their phone fixed and they're like, we really need to upgrade her into an iPhone, but she doesn't want to do it. Then don't freaking have her do it. What's your game plan here? What do you think's going to work out? It's just if you're comfortable inside of Windows, when it comes to the Linux videos, enjoy them knowing that I don't actually expect anybody to move over to it because of my video at all. I'm grateful when there are people that show up in the comments and they're like, yeah, this video gave me, the inspiration I needed and the drive I needed to say, you know what, I could do this. And I followed the instructions that you gave me and it worked great. Those people, fantastic. I'm glad that I was able to help guide you in another direction that could help you advance yourself in knowledge and knowing, how computers function and everything. But please, for the love of all that is good in this world, because there is some that's still left, don't install Windows on a Steam Deck. You literally would only do it
If you really wanted to hate yourself.
which means I really needed to get a therapist. This video, by the way, is sponsored. No, it's not. But it's like, oh my god, it was pain. It was pure pain. There was one benefit. There was one benefit to installing Windows on a Steam Deck with a USB dongle, which I don't know where I put it. With the USB Type C dongle that has an HDMI out, you can plug that into a computer monitor. It didn't want to work with the capture card, but you can plug it into a computer monitor, and you can actually kind of use it as like a little, laptop thing, kind of with extra steps. But it was kind of fun to play around with it with that concept. But otherwise, it's a Steam Deck. If you want something like a Steam Deck that can do it, go get an ROG Ally, and then eventually realize that you should probably throw SteamOS on it, or get yourself a laptop. I mean, it's a bit bigger. So if you really hate yourself, install Windows on a Steam Deck. I'll see you guys in the next one. Go watch that video right there. That one looks pretty good. See you guys in the next one. Don't be afraid to dive on into the Rift. And stay the hell away from that whole idea. I'm gonna reinstall.
Really wanted to hate yourself. They do make it possible.